But Paul D.E.H.N., who's dead now, I think he was terrific, just terrific. And he
Imagine the perfect Hollywood gentleman, a polite British actor, a famous child star, a man who befriended Elizabeth Taylor and Rock Hudson. Everyone trusted him. Now imagine that man, Roddy McDowall, watching as the FBI surrounded his house. It wasn't a movie scene. It was December 18th, 1974, and government trucks were backing up to his North Hollywood home. Agents didn't just walk in, they raided the place, seizing over 1,000 secret films and tapes worth millions of dollars. What they took was more than just old cinema. It was a hidden archive that contained the deepest, most dangerous secrets of 1960s Hollywood. The tragedy of that day isn't just about the lost films, it's about what happened next. Roddy, the most loyal man in Hollywood, had to betray his closest friends, stars like Rock Hudson and Elizabeth Taylor, to save himself. They never saw it coming, and the secret he kept about that day is one of the darkest betrayals in Tinseltown history. Our story starts across the ocean, in a place called Herne Hill, London, where Roddy was born in 1928. His full name was Roderick, but everyone just called him Roddy. His father was a sailor, but his mother, Winifred, was a woman who dreamed of being on stage herself. Since she never made it, she poured all her energy, all her hopes into her son. By the time he was just 4, he was already winning poetry contests. At 5, he was taking special speaking classes. His mother was determined to make him a star, and by age 10, he was already in his first movie. He made 16 films in Britain before he even turned 12, collecting awards with his sister and proving he was a natural. Then everything changed because of the war. In 1940, German bombers filled the skies over Britain, dropping bombs everywhere. It was a terrifying time. Roddy's family was part of a huge plan to evacuate children called Operation Pied Piper. They were shipped to America to escape the danger. But here's the sad part. Because of wartime rules about money, they arrived in the United States with only $42 to their name. With his father in the military, it was up to his mother to keep them alive. She dragged young Roddy to every talent agent in New York, praying for a miracle. Hollywood was paying attention. Fox Studios was looking for a new boy star, and Roddy's real-life story of escaping the bombs, combined with his perfect British accent, made him the perfect fit. His screen test was sent straight to the big studios, and the moment director William Wyler saw it, he knew he had found something special. Roddy's first American film, Manhunt, in 1941, felt very close to home. He played a boy helping someone escape the Nazis. But his real breakthrough was How Green Was My Valley that same year. Roddy was only 13, but his performance was so powerful that the film beat the famous Citizen Kane to win the Oscar for Best Picture in 1942. Fox Studios spent a fortune, $110,000, to build a huge, real-life replica of a Welsh mining village, complete with real coal. Critics loved Roddy. They said he was so good he could rival Shirley Temple. He was instantly given a 7-year contract, making him a major star overnight. He went on to make other huge hits like My Friend Flicka in 1943, where he played a boy who bonded with a wild horse. This movie was so popular, it made millions and instantly got a sequel. Roddy had to learn to ride horses and work with the animals, putting in serious effort for every role. By the time he was a teenager, he was taking on really heavy roles, like playing the young version of a lonely priest in The Keys of the Kingdom. He was only 16, but he handled sad, emotional scenes like losing his parents in a storm. He became the main breadwinner for his family, earning a massive $2,500 a week, which would be hundreds of thousands of dollars today. His mother carefully saved every penny, but the pressure was huge. He worked 6 days a week and had no time to be a normal teenager. The hardest part for any child star is making the jump to adult roles, and for a while, people wondered if Roddy would fail. But Roddy was determined to be more than just the sweet boy from Lassie Come Home. He made his big move on the Broadway stage with a dark play called Compulsion in 1957, playing a cold, calculating young man based on a real-life killer. It was the total opposite of his child star image, and he proved he could handle darkness. Then, in 1960, he played a truly creepy, suspicious character in the thriller Midnight Lace. Audiences started to see a whole new, more complex side of Roddy. He proved his stage talent, too, earning a Tony nomination for playing Mordred in the original Broadway musical Camelot. Then came the film that almost destroyed an entire studio, Cleopatra in 1963. Roddy played Octavius in a movie that became the most expensive film ever made at the time, costing $44 million. That's almost $500 million today. The cost was so crazy that Fox Studios almost went bankrupt. Roddy was right there in the middle of all the chaos, watching the massive, scandalous love affair unfold between his best friend, Elizabeth Taylor, and Richard Burton. He saw Taylor almost die from pneumonia and witnessed $5 million being wasted before they even moved the production to Rome. Through all the disaster, the film was still a huge hit, but Roddy, as always, remained the ultimate professional. But Roddy would soon take on a role that changed his life and career forever, one that required an almost unbelievable sacrifice. Every morning at 2 a.m., he had to wake up and sit in a makeup chair for 3.5 hours just to become Cornelius, the gentle chimpanzee archaeologist in Planet of the Apes. The makeup was so intense, taking hours to apply and remove, that the studio had to invent new materials just so his skin could breathe. His whole face was covered in pieces, from the separate ears to a painted black lower lip. He did this 5 days a week for months on end. Cornelius became his most famous character, but here is where Roddy's secret life began to bloom. While everyone else went home, Roddy stayed behind and kept filming. Not for the studio, but for himself. He used his personal 8mm camera to document everything. He filmed the actors laughing, sipping drinks through straws while wearing full orangutan faces, and flying around on helicopters. No one else thought to save these strange, funnily private moments, but Roddy did. He was quietly capturing history and the crazy reality of Hollywood life behind the scenes. He loved the role so much that he came back for the sequels and even the TV show in 1974, dedicating his life to the ape characters he loved. Roddy wasn't just an actor who filmed behind-the-scenes moments. He was also a truly talented photographer. In 1966, he released a groundbreaking photography book called Double Exposure. It was unique because it featured 98 celebrities, but instead of journalists writing about them, one famous person wrote about another. For example, the legendary writer James Baldwin described Marlon Brando and Katharine Hepburn described Lauren Bacall. This showed how deeply Roddy was trusted. Since 1953, he had been working for major magazines like Life and Vogue. But now every star wanted to be photographed by him because they knew he would treat them with respect and kindness. In a later book, Double Exposure, Take Two, in 1989, he showed a much darker side of Hollywood. The most heartbreaking photos were of his friend, Judy Garland, during her worst days. Roddy was her friend during the filming of The Judy Garland Show in 1963, and he photographed her when no one else dared, during breakdowns, while she was crying, sick, and exhausted. His photos and the honest quotes in the book exposed how the Hollywood studio system had worked his friend to death, leading to her problems with pills and alcohol. Roddy saw it all up close, and he was the one person who captured that painful truth. He filmed moments that would have ended careers. One summer in 1965, Roddy threw a private beach party at his Malibu home. This was no ordinary party. The biggest stars were there. Paul Newman was grilling burgers, Lauren Bacall was sunbathing without her top, and Rock Hudson, Anthony Perkins, and Natalie Wood were just behaving like normal people. They were smoking, drinking, and relaxing, finally free from the eyes of the public. Roddy filmed it all on his 16mm camera, the real, raw, private side of Hollywood we were never meant to see. That footage was never released because Roddy knew it would ruin their lives. But those reels were the most powerful things in his secret archive. He had a special kind of loyalty. When his close friend Montgomery Clift had a terrible car crash in 1956, breaking his jaw and face, Roddy was there. He started taking photos of Clift just weeks after the accident, showing him trying to smile again and practicing expressions in the mirror. Roddy never published these photos while Clift was alive, choosing to protect his friend's image and dignity, even though the images were a painful exposé of the cost of fame. Later, in 1993, Roddy's book Double Exposure, Take 4 revealed his 50-year friendship with Elizabeth Taylor. She trusted him so completely that she opened up about everything: her addictions, her weight struggles, her chaotic marriages to men like Richard Burton. The photos were gut-wrenching, showing her without makeup or crying after a divorce. Roddy was Elizabeth's safe place. He called her every single day just to check on her, and when he was dying of cancer in 1998, she flew back to Los Angeles and visited him every single day until the very end. By the early 1970s, Roddy McDowall had built his own private film studio in his North Hollywood garage. He owned an astonishing 337 different films, 160 of which were extremely rare 16mm prints, the kind of film you couldn't find anywhere. He had everything from Citizen Kane to his own movies. The crazy part is that he got many of these films straight from the major studios themselves, who were carelessly throwing away old film reels to clear storage space. Roddy saw them as treasure that needed to be saved, so he bought them. He even bought Errol Flynn's entire personal collection of home movies and unfinished films from his widow. He spent thousands of dollars moving these films to a magnetic tape format called Sony U-matic, which was new at the time because he truly believed tape would last longer than film. He wasn't collecting for money, he only charged his friends exactly what he remembered paying, making his garage a secret museum of lost cinema. But then that fateful day arrived, December 18, 1974. The FBI showed up, trucks and all. They raided his house and seized 160 film reels and over 1,000 videotapes. The government said the entire collection was worth over $5 million and called it the biggest film piracy raid the FBI had ever done. The government believed Roddy wasn't just collecting. They claimed he was illegally copying and selling films. Roddy was caught. He was in deep trouble. Instead of fighting the powerful government, Roddy made a terrible choice to save himself. He helped them. He gave the FBI names. He told them that Rock Hudson had given him a print of his film, Giant. He also named other friends and fellow collectors like Arthur P. Jacobs and Mel Torme. People were stunned. One fellow collector said Roddy's heart was broken because he lost his films, but the pain of betraying his friends was much, much worse. For years, Roddy's close friends, like the respected journalist Robert Osborne, admitted they had no idea Roddy had cooperated. If Rock Hudson ever found out, he never mentioned it. By June 1975, the government dropped the case. Roddy was never charged, and he never went to jail. But the damage was done. He stopped hosting his famous movie nights, and some of his friends never came back. His name was forever tied to the raid and the secret betrayal. It was a painful end to a lifelong passion, forcing him to move on by legally helping the film industry save old movies through the National Film Preservation Board. There was another huge side of Roddy's life that Hollywood forced him to keep secret: his relationships. In 1951, Elizabeth Taylor introduced him to her friend Montgomery Clift. The two men fell in deep love. Roddy loved Clift so much that he stopped acting for 2.5 years and moved to New York just to be close to him. But the relationship was volatile, and when Clift tried to end things, Roddy was completely devastated. He even attempted to take his own life. Amazingly, he never held it against Clift and stayed his loyal friend until the end, even supporting him through his last movie. Roddy lived in a time when being openly gay in Hollywood would immediately ruin your career. Gossip magazines were always looking for secrets. Agents would even trade secrets, outing one actor to protect another. Roddy chose to stay quiet in public, but behind the closed doors of his beach house in Malibu, he created a sanctuary. His home became the one safe space where gay and straight celebrities could relax without fear, sharing their secrets without the risk of being exposed. He became known as the father confessor of Hollywood. He knew everything about everyone, but he never, ever told a soul. He kept people's secrets safe, only filming those private parties, not for scandal, but to keep a true record of who his friends really were, away from the lies and masks Hollywood forced them to wear. When Roddy McDowall died in 1998, he left behind one final massive secret. For decades, he had kept personal diaries, letters, and home videos. When his will was read, everyone was shocked by the final instruction. He gave his entire personal archive to Boston University, but he said that no one could open them until the year 2098, 100 years after his death. This is the grand finale of his secret life. Legal experts say the only reason to seal something for that long is to protect the people who are still alive. The contents must be truly explosive. People close to Roddy believe these diaries will name names, reveal secret relationships, and expose things the public was never meant to know. The archive is thought to contain detailed evidence about Elizabeth Taylor's painful and abusive marriage to Eddie Fisher, all written down by Roddy. It may also include letters about Rock Hudson's AIDS diagnosis and the secret ways the Hollywood system tried to cover it up, something Roddy knew years before the public did. And there are home movies showing his famous friends, including Judy Garland, during heartbreaking private moments and drug breakdowns. There's believed to be one specific diary entry that describes the painful details of when Roddy tried to take his own life after Montgomery Clift left him, a moment of complete devastation that few knew about. All of this content, the truth, the secrets, the betrayals, the love, sits locked away in a sealed archive. Not yet, but in 2098, the world will finally know the truth about the private lives of Hollywood's golden age, all thanks to the one man who saw and captured everything. Until then, Roddy McDowall remains one of the most fascinating, mysterious, and deeply loyal figures in Hollywood history, the keeper of secrets who was forced, just once, to become a betrayer. What do you think is in those diaries? The truth about Rock Hudson? Or maybe something even bigger about Elizabeth Taylor? Let me know in the comments below. If you were shocked by the FBI raid in Roddy's secret archive, please like this video, share it with a friend who loves Hollywood history, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss when we uncover the next great untold story from the past. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.